What I often get asked by new photographers is, what exactly should I be doing with my day? How does a photographer build out their working day, week, and month? So what I've gone and done is I've made a pie chart. We'll get it up on the screen in a minute, and I'm going to go through exactly what makes up a working month. The breakdown of how much time we spent on each item and what those items might be. Now, some of it didn't really fit into a category, and one of those was probably the most important part, but we'll get to that at the end. Let's look at the easy to quantify stuff first. So this was all taken from a 28-day month, and unfortunately I worked 25.5 days of it. Which is far from ideal, but there we go. Every month varies, but this one here was perhaps the most average of months. And let's start off with the studio space. This space here, and it's not in solid days, it's hours here and there, pulled in together. It took up one day of my month, just keeping the place. That's little things. It's like fixing a broken door handle, making sure we've got coffee in here, which is obviously very important. All these little bits which are just like studio management, that takes up one day of each month. Next on my list, which is one of the very important things, is marketing. Now, I do a thing called Marketing Mondays, and if you've watched my Marketing 101 workshop, that is exactly what it is. I've tried to remember to put a link in the comments because people always ask, but I often forget. But the marketing is key. Every Monday, sometimes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, but one day a week, I make sure I run through my marketing list. This week, it's not happened so far. This is Wednesday. This should have been happening on Sunday last week. But things go a bit wrong. But 4 days a month we spend on marketing. Really crucial. It is one of those things. Sometimes we do have to break it up. We do it in 2 half days, but that's how much marketing we do in a month. Now, as much marketing as we do, we also do the exact same amount of creative work. 4 days a month were spent on creative. This is things like new ideas, test shoots, creating portfolios, things which are really, for me, making sure that my photography work, my photography business continues to grow. Because if I don't continue to get better at photography and continue to sort of evolve in what it is I'm producing, this business will come to a halt pretty darn quick. Now, less important in some ways than creative work, but more important in others is client work. In this particular month, I did 7 days of client work, which is a lot. Now, a lot of people think photographers work every day. We don't, or at least not at the high commercial end. We often spend a lot of time doing personal work. We spend a lot of time doing pre-production work, all of those weird little things. But this month, we did 7 days of client work. That's pretty good, I think. With the day rate we charge, that's not to be sniffed at. Now, in order to get those 7 days going, and I've separated this away from marketing because it's kind of slightly different, we spent 2 days doing pitches. Now, a pitch is when you sort of sell yourself to somebody. You're investing your time and money to pull something together to show to somebody. Now, yes, that is part of Marketing Mondays, kind of, but this is a bit more targeted. This is more, there's an advanced marketing workshop I do. This is more that end of things. This is slightly separate. You can't just do this, but you have to do the 4 Marketing Mondays for this to work. But this is the icing on the cake. Now, this one here, if we'd done our shooting, we'd gone, say, to 10 days, we'd have got rid of this completely. This is nice to have, but not necessary to keep a business running. Now, something I'm doing more of now we're out of the old dark COVID days is networking. I spent 3 days worth of networking. That is going for drinks, going for lunches, going to show my book at places, going to the right bar at the right time, being seen in the right places. That is networking. I spent 3 days in a month. Now, that is actually quite high compared to a lot of other months, but because this was the most normal month, we've gone with this one. But 3 days networking, kind of enjoy it now. Didn't used to, but I kind of feel confident enough just to go and, have a beer and chat, I guess. Now, my least favorite part of this, and part of the reason I'm probably going to have to get a bookkeeper soon, is admin. I spent 2 days this month doing admin. Now, I do my admin in little sprints of 30 minutes because I hate it so much. It's the first thing I do when I get in is my admin. So I spent, 2 days of my life that I'm never getting back just doing admin. And that's frustrating. That's pretty frustrating, but that is what it is. I've not managed to outsource any more of it. And of course, a lot of this stuff, I'm also not doing. This is what I do. There's other people working here. My agent's out doing networking for me at the moment. The art buyer in our agency is busy doing creative work for me. I've got an editor working I've got 2 editors working for me at the moment. I've also got a video editor working for me. I've got somebody in the studio helping me maintain that on a daily basis. There's always other people in here as well, but this is just my workflow. I didn't really want to micromanage them to a point where I was like, what did you get up to today? That's probably not a good boss move. Okay, now this bit here, what I'm doing right now, YouTube, this takes up 1 day each month. And some days, some months it takes up 2, depending on the complexity of the edits. But when it's just talking head stuff like this, it's a day a month just to do YouTube. And then it's 1.5 days to do Tin House Studios. And that is the workshops, the one-to-ones, the mentorship programs, the portfolio reviews, all of that stuff which comes from the Tin House Studio website, which is separate to my photography business. That is 1.5 days. And that's what takes up my month. That is the majority of my month. But unquantifiable things. There's some things here which I couldn't work. I know I do them because they get done, but they didn't really seem to exist anywhere in any paper trail. And they're little things like procurements. I have to buy a lot of things. Like there's a lot of purchasing going on. I spend too much time on Amazon. You know, I've just had to buy loads of hard drives. I just bought a 100 terabyte drive system. That takes time. Going to the post office to collect missed parcels, going, you know, all these little bits and pieces. But what's really important, and I didn't put it into creative work because it's not active. And this is perhaps the most important part of my week. And I'm trying to make sure that I give it time and that I make it have its own space. And because it's not quantifiable, it's very difficult to do that for someone like me, because I'm very much like, it sits between these hours and these hours. This is how life works. And this doesn't in the creative world. But I need time to think and do nothing. I make sure I spend a certain amount of time each day laying in here on the sofa in silence, doing nothing. Because that is when the creative ideas come to me. I can't work hard at having a creative idea. I have to actively not work. I have to actively make sure I'm not trying. And that's when my better ideas happen. And this entire industry, it's not about your business plan. It's not about your marketing plan. It's about your ideas. It doesn't matter how great you are technically. If you don't have an interesting idea, that technically perfect image is a boringly technically perfect image. No one cares about it. It's better that you do a bad job with the camera, but you have a great idea. And it's very hard for me with my personality type to go, yeah, let's sit down for an hour and do nothing and see if anything pops into my head. I find that hard to justify, but I know it's important. And it's actually the most important part. Alongside that is exercise. I got really fit a while ago before COVID. I was like full on, could see my abs, and then I let it go again. And I'm trying to get back into that just so I can keep that sort of health level high, because I keep getting ill after big jobs from the stress and all the rest of it, and that's not ideal. So I'm currently adding an extra 6 to 7 hours a week of training in there. It's like the bare minimum, I guess, to sort of keep myself ticking over, but that's also helping with the ideas. The amount of ideas that come to me during a deadlift when I'm just about to drop the bar is unfathomable. I'd hate to think it's something to do with torture, pain, and my creativity, but there does seem to be a correlation between the harder I train, the better the ideas I get. So those two things, they're not part of any great plan. They're not on my to-do list, but they are things that are key to this business working. Let me know in the comments below how you spend your working days, weeks and months. And if there's anything else you'd like to know about this sort of topic, it's not something that's really on YouTube, so might be interesting. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.